I said earlier to the graduates upstairs how honored and humbled I was to be a part of this day and a part of this program, because I know what it means for each of you and your families. I've been asked to provide just a few moments of remarks, and I have some good news. I am not a pastor, but I am a lawyer. So hopefully I'll be brief. I want to just acknowledge the team here at Pine Street Inn, Lindia, Kate, Rebecca, April. I worked with Barbara and Katie on inviting me to come today. They have a phenomenal team. Could you join me? Just give them a round of applause, please. You know, as a person who serves on many boards across the city and the state and the country, I know the sacrifice and service of board members who do this not because it pays, because it doesn't, but they do it because they want to give back and they want to serve and they want to be a part of organizations meeting their mission. So I want to give a shout out to Lauren Davis and Megan Gates, the chair-elect, and the board. Give them a round of applause, please, as well. I am always moved when I walk into places and I get to give commencement speeches and remarks all over the country. And one thing that settles me when I walk into a room was what happened earlier upstairs when I had some graduates who hear me on the radio or who heard about me, and they share where they are in their lives or what I may have said that helped them in their journey. The other thing that settles me when I get to a place to provide remarks is when there are many friends in the room. And there's a lot of friends in this room. So just a shout out to my man Thomas, who works at your front desk. I grew up with that brother, and he was always a good person, always looked out for me, and he a phenomenal basketball player, by the way. And it is honor and it humbled me to come in for a visit a few weeks ago and to see him here. You are very fortunate to have him. To my friend Ed Forey, the Forey family, Senator Linda Docina Forey, thank you for all the work you do in communities. Oftentimes people go unseen because the work they do isn't on the front page of the paper, even your paper. But what I do know about you and your wife and your father is that you are committed to change. And I say thank you on behalf of the city of Boston and Greater Boston for the work that you do. Last but not least, I got to give a shout out to Sharon Magnus, who works with you. I didn't even remember that she worked here until I walked in and she jumped in my arms. So thank you, Sharon. It's good to see you. First, I want to express my appreciation for the work of Pine Street Inn, the faculty, staff, donors, and volunteers who are literally doing God's work in supporting our family members and our communities when they're experiencing some of the most challenging moments in their lives. My sister, who passed away last year, was one of those you helped, as well as so many other of my neighbors and friends. I love that you consider people who walk through your doors to be partners as you help them to move from the streets to a shelter, to a home, to a job. In the healthcare sector, we've gained an appreciation for the social determinants of health, which refers to the many factors outside of healthcare and the healthcare system that make us sick. Lack of access to food, affordable housing, employment, mental health services, a quality education, unsafe neighborhoods, clean drinking water, racism-free environments. All of those things matter. Affordable, quality, cultural, proficient, accessible care matters. As a person who grew up in a housing project just about a mile away from here, I often use the phrases, the social determinants of poverty, the social determinants of violence, and the social determinants of homelessness. There's a reason why. The whole notion behind all of these is that we must go upstream to solve for the conditions that make people sick, the conditions that make violence, the conditions that make them homeless, the conditions that make them poor. This is what you do at Pine Street Inn. I want to congratulate all of you today for this achievement in your life. There's an African proverb that I live by that reminds us, remember this, rivers are filled one drop at a time. That could speak to all the drops of support that we get from family and friends and strangers and so many others that pray for us, support us in every stage and through every trial and tribulations in our lives. And they sometimes see more in us than we see in ourselves. We owe them a debt of gratitude on days like today. I'd like to ask a personal favor. This room is packed, this tent is packed with some phenomenal people that support our graduates. If you are able to, I'm going to ask all the graduates to stand. Turn and face all the people who are here to celebrate you and give them a round of applause, please. And I'll say to those families and friends and supporters and donors and volunteers, thank you. You can sit down. Thank you for believing them. Thank you for encouraging them. And as I said a minute ago, thank you for praying for them. The team shared some of your stories, and I stand here in awe of your resilience, your commitment to this training program, and what this day means in the arc of your lives. This is one of those key defining moments in your life, and I'm humbled to be here to participate in it. I have a theme for my short commencement remarks today, and that is our stories matter. I'll repeat it again, our stories matter. About 5 years ago, actually 7 years ago now, my mother turned 75. My mother moved here, if people have ever read Isabel Wilkerson's book, For the Warmth of Other Suns. 6 million African Americans who moved out of the Jim Crow South into northern cities like Boston and Chicago and New York. My mother was one of those. And when she moved here, she raised me. I was the first one born here, out of 2 siblings born in Alabama, and a little sister born just down the street at Boston City Hospital. And when she turned 75, I realized that most of us didn't know her story. Because you kind of share a little bit of story when you're in the kitchen or you're traveling in a car to meet family, but most of our stories, including every single one of you in this room, you will leave this earth one day and most of your story won't be told. They won't know what you've survived, what you've endured, what you've overcome, the successes, the joys. Most of us leave this earth without our family members even know our health conditions we've had. Our childhood, our successes, our failures, our fears, and our funniest moments, our health conditions, our joy, our triumphs, our struggle, our pain, our transgressions, our dreams will be buried and cremated with us. That's why I sent my sons downstairs to my mother's apartment. And they spent several months just taking notes. And I'm gonna tell you how my mother is. If you ask too many personal questions, she's gonna get irritated. So my sons were mad at me for sending them downstairs. But they literally asked her questions. Where did you grow up? What did you see? What did you experience? And she shared stories about growing up in the Jim Crow South in Greensboro, Alabama, and walking out behind her house and seeing a cross burn because there were Ku Klux Klan members burning a flag behind her home. She talked about what it meant to be born in Greensboro, and her mother not raise her. That she basically, once she came home from the hospital, her mother dropped her off on a neighbor's doorstep because she just refused to raise her. And that neighbor ended up bringing her to her grandmother who raised her. So she never saw her mother until many, many years later. I think she was in her late 20s, early 30s when she met her mother. She talked about what it was like to grow up in Lenox Street housing projects and poverty and to raise children or to be a domestic worker. She talked about what it meant to have asthma and your children have asthma because you can't breathe. She talked about all the struggles and trials and tribulations of being poor and growing up in Boston. And they documented that. They spent weeks documenting that. But there is a blessing for others in our story. There is hope and resilience in what we share with others, allowing them to learn, adjust, fight, and survive. They need to know how you went from being homeless to graduating today. What did it take for you to show up? How many times did you doubt yourself or feel unworthy? Who guided you and who's relying on you to do better, be better? What did it feel like to be seen and heard and respected? Where did the system fail you and what needs to change is your story. Where does courage come from? In you. That's your story. There's a Frederick Douglass quote that I shared with staff when I did the walkthrough a few weeks ago. Frederick Douglass was an abolitionist. He was the person who was pushing Abraham Lincoln to end slavery in this country. He had words that are words for you today. He would say, it's not just the heights you reach, but the depths from which you come. So I hung to those words. I clung to those words when I was a kid because I lived in poverty. I was a kid who didn't have a dad in the house. I didn't know my father until I was in high school. I lived in neighborhoods that were overrun by drugs and crime. My sister was addicted to crack for most of my childhood. I spent many a night walking streets to find her, to bring her home, to raise her babies. And I was a baby myself. I went through many things with school and whether I was smart enough, whether I could pass a class. Like, I need you to know my story because my story was many of your stories. But I tell you, as I tie it back to the Frederick Douglass, it's not just the heights you reach, but the depth from which you come. Because when I sat in those classrooms or those training programs, and I sat next to people who had a father and a mother, a house, a picket fence, a cat and a dog, and 2 cars, and they had traveled the world, and that was not my story, they didn't come from the depths I came from. So what did it mean when we're sitting in the same classroom? It's not just the heights you reach, but the depths from which you come. What does it say about you that you've gone through those struggles and you're sitting in the same exact room with others who didn't have your struggle? It's not just the heights you reach, but the depths from which you come. I need you to remember that, graduates. There's a reason that you need to share your story. And people need to do that in different ways. Many of us are private. You may share it with your family. You may sit down with your children. I always tell, whenever I speak at a prison, I walk in to a jail or a prison, and I've done it at several, Norfolk State, Walpole, Suffolk County Jail. And I always say 2 things. I always say, and I'm gonna say to the graduates, raise your hands if you love yourself. Now, most of you, if not all of you, raised your hand. But when I do it in prisons, they hesitate to raise their hands. Because when I say it in prison, I say, if you love yourself, you would have got out of that car before the drive-by. If you love yourself, you wouldn't have put that in your vein. If you love yourself, you'd raise your babies. You'd reconcile with family. If you love yourself, you do better for your health so that you can buy more time. I need you to hear me when I say that. Buy more time. Life is fleeting. And every time that you eat right, work out, take care of your mental health, take care of your substance use disorder, get a house, try to live better, you are buying another minute, another hour, another day, another year to raise your family, to do great things, to live out your dreams. So just like my smartphone, my smartwatch on my hand right now, I'm gonna ask you to buy more time. Do the things that get you more time to do the amazing things that you were put on this earth to do, that God put you here to do. And that could be starting a business, that could be a job that you're just gonna be amazing at, or that could be that grandbaby that needs to hear your story so that they can navigate this really difficult world. So I'm gonna leave you with that. As a person who grew up in Lenny Street Projects, my family grew up in Columbia Point. My family moved here from Baltimore and Alabama. I know their stories now because I'm asking them to tell their stories. I need you to embrace this day, this moment you're in, because this is just one of many amazing moments that you got in store for you. You got more great things to do, y'all. You got more graduations to experience, more diplomas to get in your hand, more achievements that you're going to experience. And I'm just, again, honored and humbled to be with you here for this one. So when you see me on the street, holla at me. I mean it. Thomas will tell you, holla at me. The cats I grew up with on Intervale or Castlegate or Humboldt or Lennox Street housing projects or the Point, as we call it, the Pizzoin. They'll tell you, holla at me. Tell me about the amazing things you're doing in your life and how far you've come from today and achieved so many great things beyond today. So again, God bless you. Thank you. Thank you.